I still remember the streets I grew up in, you know, the park I used to play with my friends, the school, where my father lived, and it's called Alto Bonito, in the, you know, in a hill. So I still have great, amazing memories that I cherish very, very much. That make me want to go back, but I know, you know, that I can't go.
This is Melissa Garcia, one of the 11 million undocumented immigrants living in the United States. She came to this country when she was 8. Now she's 20. She and her mother have never been back to their natal country, Colombia. Coming here was not her choice, but staying is.
You sacrifice so many things. When I came here, I left her and my other boy. I haven't seen him in 14 years. I haven't been able to go back. When you come here, you think, I'm only going to work for a while, and then I'm going back. But that time gets longer.
While her brother grew up in Colombia and is now a doctor, Melissa saw her future vanishing when she found out she was undocumented.
I was speaking to the college counselor, and we were just talking about different things, and then she asked me, you know, what were my plans for college, and then the question came up about, you know, whether I was legal in the country, and I told her that I didn't know, because that question that had never been asked before. And so I went back home, and you know, because she had told me at that moment that if I couldn't prove that I was legal in the country, I wouldn't be able to get financial aid for college. So that was the point where everything sort of changed. I went back home. I asked my mom, you know, Mom, do we have papers? Si tenemos papeles? And she told me, no, no tenemos papeles. And so, you know, I started doing research as to what that meant. Couldn't find a job, you know, getting healthcare was going to be very difficult. The risk of being deported at any moment if we were caught. And so everything just, you know, I'm 15, I'm a sophomore in high school where I'm supposed to be talking about boys and music and what's going on TV and, you know, just worrying about classes. And now I have to deal with the fact that I'm undocumented. So it was a really painful, you know, the next 2 years, junior and senior, were extremely hard. I had to bust myself to make sure I had good grades, to make sure that I was doing a lot of community service, to make sure I was on top of the game, because I knew that nothing else was going to help me.
Melissa ended up applying to 17 different colleges, calling each of them asking if they could help her knowing her migratory status. She was accepted into Lehman College, and she's now working on 2 majors, social work and dance. But the struggle isn't over.
Trying to juggle school, work, you know, activism, and trying to help other people became really difficult. And I feel like maybe if I had my papers and I was able to work in school, things would be much more different, because I was going to be in the same setting, and I'd be able to also give more attention to my classes. That even though I'm doing good, I'm keeping up with my grades, sometimes I feel I'm not giving my 100%, and it's because I have to be focusing, making sure I work, making sure I do the other activities that I'm doing, which I love to do that. But that's always been a juggle. And there are days in school where I wish I had a car, where, you know, taking the train becomes such a difficult thing. You know, traveling from Queens to the Bronx, and having a driver's license would totally make a big difference. And these are things that people don't, you know, take for granted that they have, and that, you know, maybe they didn't have to work so hard for them because they were born here. They got those rights, they got those privileges, and there's 11 undocumented immigrants that don't have those things, you know, that we have to worry about making sure we don't get sick, making sure we don't get caught, living cautiously, and basically, like many people say, living in the shadows.
Once in college, Melissa co-founded the Lehman Dream Team, a club that tries to provide help and guidance to undocumented students like her. She is also involved in other 2 community service groups and has 2 part-time jobs.
She was like the happiest person I ever met. She was so happy about everything, and like always smiley and super empowered. Really, she was like one of my earliest inspirations, actually, to start feeling more confident about being undocumented.
You know, I can't just change my status tomorrow. It's not that easy. And I think that's something that people don't get, and they tell me, oh, well, you know, you should go back to the line and wait. And there's no line for me to wait. There's no process for me to, you know, wait 10 years or 15 years to get my papers. There's none of that, and that's why we're trying to advocate for that, you know, for either it's the DREAM Act or some other type of bigger reform. And because I get that a lot, you know, like, well, why should you get something, you know, when I did it the right way, I did it the legal way, I waited my time, and, you know, my family did it the right way. My family, I guess you can say, also did it the right way, but we didn't have the resources that many other people have. But our families analyze, you know, observe, you know, what kind of life do I have here, and what kind of life can I give my children here, and what kind of life will I give them, and I have to return to the economic, political troubles of that country. So you outweigh those things, and you end up making the choice that you think benefits your family the most at the end.
And that choice sometimes seems easy, but for Melissa's mother, it was a difficult one, and regrets of leaving her other child still haunt her.
In my mind, I didn't think I could raise both of them here. Now that I look back at it, if I had thought about it, I was focusing on my job and I said no, but it would have been better. We would have surpassed the obstacles together. It's hard when you leave. You break your family and you stop living your children's life. It's not good.
On May Day, Melissa joined many other activists at Union Square advocating for a better future for immigrants.
I've been able to see Melissa throughout the years grow in her leadership, and it just shows that an undocumented student, how much an undocumented student can do without their social, right, and without having the border of being able, like, not being able to go to college without, you know, without Social Security, not being able to get financial aid, and we see the example on her that she's been able to go on a scholarship. She's been able to do so much without it. Just imagine how much she can do with it.
She definitely talks about her struggle and immigrant struggle and being a woman through her dance, through activism, through her schoolwork, through academia. I have to say she's one of the most inspiring people I have in my life right now.
I don't regret having the status that I do because it makes you more conscious and, you know, not take certain things for granted. I think being in the situation just makes you more, you know, open-minded. It makes you more grateful for the things you do have and appreciate them. And for the things that you don't have, you also become more appreciative of them too, because you know that once, if you ever have them, you'll understand how hard you had to work to get them.
Melissa continues to move forward as she waits for a new immigration bill to be approved. She applied for deferred action, which will provide her with a social security number and a driver's license, among other few benefits. However, this is only temporary, and as a junior in college, the fears and uncertainty come back, reminding her of past experiences.
I am scared because it's sort of going back to that same feeling of not knowing what's going to happen. Like I didn't know what was going to happen after high school, so I'm afraid of going into that again. But the difference now is that I have, you know, I'm more involved. I have a great support system. I know more than I did 4 years ago. So while I'm scared, I know that I have great strengths and resources around me that will help me overcome those struggles.
This is one out of 11 million. 11 million immigrants who left their countries in look for a better future, without measuring how much they will have to give up in order to accomplish their dream. Many have been waiting for decades to go back and see their families. Many have already lost those loved ones. How much longer will those who live rightly have to wait?